So, who is ready to learn how you can make a change that is beyond what you currently can perceive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like that, yeah.
That's interesting. Huh? Everybody is yes, but it's not conscious yet what change you will make.
Yes.
But that's the reason we are here.
Very good. Very good that you prepared them all for it before we went here. Very good. So basically today we're going to get started. That is, we're going to start with some trance exercises to warm up your unconscious mind, to warm up your sleeping conscious mind. Because sometimes the unconscious mind sleeps, sometimes the conscious mind sleeps. Sometimes people have a daydream during the day and they should be awake, but really they're dreaming. Sometimes people are in the middle of the night dreaming and they wake up. Some people go in a trance and they have awakening insights. Some people are so deeply entranced that they don't know the difference anymore between their conscious and unconscious mind. Some people went into a trance, they were looking for the unconscious mind all the way inside. That's an infinite search, by the way. If you're looking for your unconscious mind in a trance. It's better to look for your unconscious mind when you are awake enough to go deeper. So today we're going to do those types of trance exercises. You are going to get started with some trance exercises to warm up your brain and make contact with good feelings, good memories inside of yourself. Make those pictures a little bit brighter, a little bit bigger, and see how much you can expand them. Make them a little bit sharper, just like a TV, right? In the old days you had a knob on the side where you could make it more colorful, more white, or totally whiten things out. So the inside of your brain is more or less the same. It has pictures inside. Especially your unconscious mind knows about this. The pictures you have inside, the movies you play in your mind, the things you tell yourself are creating all your feelings, right? So we only have to focus on two things. The things you're seeing and the things you're telling yourself are basically the two things that is creating all of your experiences. They're causing your experience because the emotions are following the pictures and the sounds. So we have an interesting sound in the background which will help us to focus even more. So trance exercise is where we're going to get started with. The second thing we're going to do is a specific hypnotic induction that is used a lot in NLP. It's the handshake interrupt. Some people are still in the interrupt, which is a big surprise because it is a simple hypnosis technique we're going to work with today. The third thing we're going to do is submodalities. Submodalities is basically all the building blocks of your experience. Every experience you have and will have is basically based on 5 senses, right? So the building blocks are what we call in NLP submodalities. It will get clear as we go along. The 6th sense, I mean, or the building blocks, right? So submodalities has to do with the building blocks of your experience. And what we're going to do is meta-programs. Meta-programs is basically all the filters of your perception. And if you know your meta-programs, you can change them to get any new experience you would like to have. And also do that with your clients, of course. And least but not last, or last but not least, is rapport building, right? So we're going to do a lot today, and a tip for you to get the most out of this training is I'm going to give you a lot of exercises first. I'm going to give you a lot of experiences first, without the model, let's say, right? So the teaching and the way how you will learn to master your emotions and increase your confidence and learn all the NLP techniques will be a little bit different than you're used to with whatever teacher you have been taught. So I'm going to give you are going to get a lot of experiences first, and then we're going to look to what actually you have been doing. From an NLP standpoint, that is, right? I'm not going to interpretate it necessarily. Although there will be some interpretations of me along the way. You will enjoy them. Right? So a lot of things to do. A lot of exercises you're going to do, and they're all going to be lots of fun. It's going to be quite dynamic. Sometimes the speed is quite up, and sometimes we really take the time to relax. So Richard Bandler says, if it doesn't feel good, it isn't NLP. Okay. Right? So that is a nice starting point, right, to access that. So who's ready to learn? Oh, yeah. Very good. I have a little story for you. Years ago, I was living in Amsterdam. And Amsterdam, as you know, is the city of altering states of mind. And one day, I had a friend who decided to investigate the changes that take place when you use psychotropic solutions. So at that time we experimented a lot with the inside of the brain, and we had a paper. Basically we went to the coffee shop in Amsterdam and we were buying temple balls, which is not what you think. It's the name for a psychotropic solution. And Jimmy, my friend, told me, let's find out how the brain will change minute by minute, day by day. So we had a pen of blue inked and a piece of white paper, and we started to investigate the mind now, because it was 9 o'clock in the evening when we started. So we write down, so how do you feel? We had to say, how do you feel now? And then write down how you feel. So you have a contrast analysis later on to notice the difference, right? So 9 o'clock, I said, well, I feel normal. And so we took the psychotropic solution, and then 9:30, we already sensed different kind of experiences coming in. So we kept track of the changes that were taking place on a piece of white paper and blue inked. So in that period, I was invited by my uncle. He lives in Costa Rica, and he said, a dream has come true, because he bought 106 hectares of property in Costa Rica in 1992, and he totally transformed the roads that were going up to the hills there to build houses. And his dream came true because he had the property and he could change it, the complete landscape, exactly in the way how he wanted to. So he's a designer, and he says, well, I'm going, before I go to sleep, always to redesign my house. And most of you are doing that also when you decide to change the furniture in your house, right? First you have the picture, this is how it is now, this is how I want it to be. I'm going to put the couch there, I'm going to put the furniture there. You rearrange the inside so it feels better. Because most of the people are making decisions on feeling better, towards pleasure. So my uncle told me, please come to visit Costa Rica because you are the less adventurous person of the family. I thought, well, that's a pretty interesting suggestion. I felt challenged. And from that moment, I traveled around the world and I never stopped, just to prove them that I am also adventurous, okay? That's how I went into traveling, by the way. I went so deep into it that I live 2 months in Italy, and then I go to decide I live 2 months in the United States, 2 months there. So anyway, we were going to Costa Rica, and in that time I was partying a lot in Amsterdam. I DJ'd a lot, I organized my own parties. It was a beautiful period of my life, and I was a lot into psychedelic trance music with big dance floors. I made them dance, and we basically had trance experiences there with nice decoration of fluorid, colorful mandalas from the East, and people are into spirituality, and they really enjoyed dancing on the rhythms from exotic countries, and they went quite deep, sometimes with the help of a psychotropic solution. Not knowing that it is inside already, any psychotropic solution is inside. So then I was proving my family I'm adventurous too. So I went to Costa Rica, and what happened was that I went with my brother. We were putting into the jungle. We put in a jungle. That's right. So imagine a big terrace of wood, of 15 meters terrace of wooden floor, and on the edge of the terrace is the green jungle treetops. Beautiful green color, like very intense green. The green of some frogs in the nature have that very intense green. So imagine being on a terrace now, and in the end of the terrace there is green treetops, and a little bit further on in the distance is a beautiful sea. That's the Pacific Ocean. It had a little plate, it says Japan 10,000 kilometers straight on, right, if you want to take a little boat. So I was going from Amsterdam, organizing parties and only going to 1 or 2 places at a time in the jungle. That was a huge change I made. Because when you wake up and you hear oranges and what is it? Coconuts. The monkeys were throwing coconuts to our door, to our cabin, to wake up. That's quite a, not a snooze button possible there. Because my uncle didn't tell me about the monkeys that were throwing things to the cabin, to the door. Also, when I woke up on the first day, there was a big scorpion like this on the wall. And they say, where there is one, there must be 2. That's a nice suggestion, right? If you say, well, if there is 1 scorpion, there must be 2. That's what I heard in my klambu, looking for the openings to close them even more down, so I was safe. But actually, I saw a big scorpion like this. It was not a black one, it was a light brown one. But I was looking for the other one and forgot about this one, which was pretty interesting. I had some deletion there, some amnesia. But the other one I couldn't find. So my uncle gave me bagon. It's a solution for putting under the doorway. And actually, if you move out of the house, you have to put it everywhere, on the windows, on the doors, so nobody can get in, right? It's a pretty safe feeling. So then you can relax when you go outside and really have a good time. So I was 2 weeks in the jungle, and I saw monkeys for the first time. They were throwing things to my window. I saw scorpions. My brother decided to go to sleep outside in the klambu, on the terrace. I was not doing it. I was like, okay, I go in that room, in that house, close that door, in the klambu. My brother had some more experience. He was confident enough to open up. So he was outside. And then just before he went to sleep, there was a big snake, a green one, a viper. It's a very thin one, but the head is quite big. Was under his bed, was going. So he told me, Martin, look what's going on. So I opened the little window in the room where I was sleeping. I had to climb out of my klambu, and then I did the luxaflex, so to speak, from brown Bali wood, you know, the dark brown tropical wood, switched open, so I could see my brother in his klambu outside. And pointing to the snake, I could see the last part of the journey of the snake going over the terrace, which was quite an interesting experience. So basically, I was 12. I was 4 weeks in the jungle, and there is nothing to do in the jungle according to my standards at that time. I was bored, so I started to think about my future in a new way. And I began to see all kinds of possibilities. And I basically created a lot of my reality in the moments in the jungle right there, because I basically was forced to start thinking about your future and what's really important. So it became more and more clear to me what's important. So I started to make decisions in that direction. So after 4 weeks, I returned back to the normal world, quote unquote, which was never normal anymore. I never found it back. It was just like the second scorpion. I think it wasn't even there. Only the scorpion I saw was there. So I went back to Amsterdam, and I remember I felt so excited to go back that I was standing on a crossroads in the middle of Amsterdam, in the city. I could see my brother's house up there, because I wanted to visit my brother to tell my other brother, by the way, I have 2 brothers, all the exciting stories I experienced. And so I remember that I was coming back from 4 weeks jungle, the snakes and all the stuff that happened to me, that I had a total culture shock. My whole body was shaking at that moment there. I can still remember it because I never had that experience. I was totally surprised. Standing on the crossroads, and my body was shaking, and it was as if my new and old reality was like literally vibrating, like not standing still. Something was moving, and I really enjoyed it. And from that moment, I never found the old world back. In the beginning, it was a little bit, hey, is this good? You know, all those internal voices, they completely disappeared. And a new reality became more and more apparent. I basically unconsciously stepped inside of it. So the culture shock, I know what a culture shock is, because it is a shock about cultures. Because I was 4 weeks in Costa Rica, 4 weeks in Amsterdam, and the two was really an interesting change. So I'm wondering, where did you have a similar experience? So in a moment you're gonna have a chance to meet each other, like we're gonna take 5 to 8 minutes to say hello to each other, maybe talk about a joyful experience you had in the past, or maybe you can say something pleasant that happened in the last 2 weeks. Like a casual conversation. And if I clap my hands, you switch partners, right? And then you have a chance to talk with somebody else. So we're going to do that in a couple of minutes. So you have a chance to see who is in the room as well. Because it is a great opportunity you're having to work with the people that are in this room to get everything in your life that you want. To make every change that you want, right? We are masterminding already now, right? Our minds are blending. So all the knowledge you have, I have, is starting to mix, and you will take out of it only the things that are very beneficial for your highest good. So that when you go back to your places to meet people and do things, you will have massive confidence and take action more, and have a clear, very clear idea about your new future, and much more. So in a moment we're going to start doing that. You can feel free to walk around the room and talk with each other in a way that feels best to you. And then when I clap my hands, you switch partners, and then after that you're going to find yourself on a chair again. Is that a good idea for you?
Yes.
Very good. So do that now. Have fun while you do so.